Namaskar, I am Dr. R.K. Singh and I am a senior ENT and head and neck surgeon working at Apex Hospital, Rewari, Haryana. And welcome to our YouTube channel. Today we are going to discuss an important topic, which is risk factors for hearing impairment in children. In newborn, they are number 1, low birth weight, especially less than 3.3 pounds or 1.5 kilograms. Number 2 is low Apgar score, that is lower than 5 at 1 minute and after birth, and lower than 7 at 5 minutes after birth. Number 3 is low blood oxygen levels or seizures resulting from difficult delivery. Number 4 is infection before birth like rubella, syphilis, herpes and cytomegalovirus or toxoplasmosis. Number 5 are abnormalities in the skull or face, especially those involving the outer ear and the ear canal. Number 6 is a high level of bilirubin, which is a waste product in the blood, that is jaundice of newborn. Number 7 are bacterial meningitis as a result of bloodstream infection or sepsis. Number 8 are use of ventilator for a long time. Number 9, they can be use of certain drugs that can damage the ear, such as aminoglycoside antibiotics or some thiazide diuretics. Number 10 is history of early hearing loss in a parent or a close relative. For older children, the risk factors are all the above, plus there are many more factors in older children. Number 1 may be a head injury with skull fracture or loss of consciousness. Number 2 may be chronic middle ear infection or a cholesteatoma. And number 3 may be certain neurological disorders such as neurofibromatosis or neurodegenerative disorders like Hunter's syndrome. Number 4 are exposure to loud noises for a long period of time. And number 5 is perforation of the eardrum due to an infection or a kind of injury. And did you know, if the children sometimes seem to ignore people who are talking to them, their hearing may be impaired and also should be evaluated. Parents may suspect hearing impairment if the child doesn't respond to sound or if the child has difficulty in talking or delayed speech. Less severe hearing impairment can be more subtle and lead to behavior that is usually misinterpreted by the parents and the doctors, such as the following scenario. Number 1 may be children sometimes ignoring people who are talking to them. Number 2 may be children are able to talk and hear well at home but not in school because of the mild to moderate hearing impairment may cause problems only in the amidst of background noises of the classroom. In general, if the children are developing well in one setting and have noticeable social, behavioral, language and learning difficulties in different settings, they should be screened for hearing impairment. Now, when we talk about the screening and diagnosis for newborn, OAE or otoacoustic emissions is the routine hearing screening test. For older children, doctor's evaluation, audiometry, tympanometry and imaging tests are done. Because hearing plays an important role in the child's development, many doctors recommend that all newborn should be tested for hearing impairment by the age of 3 months. Newborns are usually screened in 2 stages. The first stage is newborn is tested for echoes produced by healthy ear in response to soft clicks made by a handheld device, which is known as evoked otoacoustic emissions. If this test raises question about the newborn hearing, a second test is done which measures the electrical signals from the brain in response to sound, that is the auditory brainstem response test, which is also known as ABR test. ABR is a painless and usually done while the newborns are sleeping. It can be used in children of any age. If the results of ABR are abnormal, the test is repeated after a period of 1 month. If the hearing loss is still detected, children may be fitted with hearing aid and or may be benefited for placement in educational settings responsive to children with impaired hearing. If doctors suspect that child has a genetic defect, then genetic testing can also be done. Thank you for joining me today for understanding about the hearing impairment in children. If you have any questions, concerns, queries or suggestions, please feel free in the comment box below. Do not forget to subscribe our channel for more informative content like this, and please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. Until next time, take care and stay healthy. Bye bye.